Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. Ex-GF cheated on me with teammate story wayward. I met my ex as a junior in high school. We went to different schools and dated a total of 3 years. At first she was the most loving and supportive GF I could ask for. I thought I may have looked up and found my person. Soon after we met I also learned she was a virgin, not sure how much I believe this now, but she asked me to take her virginity and I agreed. I was young and goofy so I thought this meant something. I thought we had some sort of special bond that could not be broken. I also was very naive at the time and never thought I could get cheated on. I literally would hear people's cheating stories and think to myself, boy am I lucky to have the GF I do. She would never do that. Fast forward to college. I went away to school and she stayed behind and got a job. We struggled through my first year and split up for a few months. It was tough adjusting to the distance as we were used to only being a 10-minute drive away from each other and saw each other almost daily. I also played football at the time so I had little to no free time. We did however stay in touch and vow to rekindle the relationship and make it work at some point. I returned home for summer break. The first time we hung out I picked her up from her house and we went to grab food. As we were in line she gets a call from one of her friends and starts having discussions about different guys in front of me. Nothing sexual, just conversations about different guys she's met while I've been away. First red flag, I wasn't mad she met guys considering the circumstances, but this was strange to me as she talked openly about it in front of me and would never do stuff like this in the past, and I knew for a fact if I had done the same she would be very upset. I didn't want to seem insecure and I brushed it off. I also learned that she had begun drinking and smoking. This was surprising to me as these were activities she strongly disliked me doing while we were together and openly spoke out against. We again talked about how we planned to work on our relationship and we agreed after some time we were exclusive again. In the past she would complain about how I seemed too nonchalant and she wanted me to express my feelings. So I made this my focus. I began planning more dates and trying to be more affectionate towards her, especially since I was headed back to school in the fall and would be in season, meaning I would not be back for a while nor have as much time to dedicate to her. This however was met with resistance which confused me. Getting her to come see me became a task. She also became more distant and cold, plus she didn't keep in contact as much as she usually did. She also deleted me on Snapchat, which was a big deal to me since she didn't have other social media. When I asked her about this she just said she didn't want me to have her as a friend there and refused to add me back. Huge red flag. At this point I was putting in the majority of the effort. As I stated before, she lived 10 minutes away and we both had cars, so seeing each other should not have been as big of an issue as it was. A bit later in the summer me and my friends took a beach trip. During this time me and my ex's recovery process was not going too well and I could not understand why, but I just decided I would enjoy this trip and figure that out later as it had become very stressful to me. While there I ran into some friends and teammates from college. One of my teammates who was from my hometown and graduated from the same high school as my ex asked me about her and if we were still together. This did not strike me as super odd at the moment cause I knew they knew each other, being that they went to the same school. We also had many mutual friends since we were from the same city, so the conversation wasn't too unusual. I didn't even think twice about this. I get back to my hometown and reach out to my ex to check in. She was mad at me for going to the beach, which struck me as odd, especially since I told her I was going beforehand and she didn't seem to care. She also made some comments suggesting I was down there cheating, which was unlike her, but I didn't pay it too much mind cause I didn't cheat. That next week after the beach things actually improved and we would talk on the phone nightly until it suddenly stopped. Every time I would call it would just keep ringing and I would call when she got off work as we normally did, so I knew she was awake. One day when I called she didn't answer, and when I texted her later that night I realized my messages were green. Suspicious, we both had iPhones. This made me call her and it went straight to voicemail. Suspicious, this girl would have a panic attack if her phone was lower than 20%. I then downloaded a phone app and called using another number and it rang through. That's when I realized my number was blocked. I didn't really know how to handle this situation. I started out by going to her house to see if her car was there and it was not. It was after 1 AM, that's when it hit me. I snapped, I sent her a few angry texts and called her a bunch. She actually picked up one of the calls from a different number and I zapped on her asking her where she was at and she just hung up. Didn't even say a word. The next morning she called me and had the audacity to act like she didn't get my calls and didn't answer. She said her brother was in a car wreck and she was at the hospital all night. I asked why my number was blocked and she denied blocking my number. I backed her into a corner with actual evidence and she admitted that my number was blocked but said her phone accidentally blocked me. I asked her if she was cheating on me and she denied. This was the first time I ever suspected anything. I was extremely suspicious but I had no proof. I told her we needed time apart to figure things out. She agreed but said we would get together to talk about the relationship in a few weeks. First day back on campus I run into the same group of friends I saw down at the beach. The guy who went to high school with my ex once again asked me if I was still seeing her. I got defensive and asked him why he keeps asking me about her. He gave me a look and said something along the lines of "she talks about you." I asked him what he meant and I could tell he didn't want to tell me but I pushed on. He then confessed he had been seeing her throughout the summer and they had been having sex. He then went on to tell me how she had been hitting on him since high school and she talks badly about me and my family, tells him some of my traumas and issues I've had with my family along with trying to emasculate me. Something inside me broke, especially since he's telling me all of this right in front of some of my other teammates and friends. They all just looked at me and say "damn bro." I kept my game face toe and shrugged it off and actually legitimately laughed, but on the inside I was literally destroyed. I texted her after and told her I knew everything and never to contact me again. She replied and just said okay. I had so much shit I wanted to say after that text but I didn't. It was pointless. She then started blowing up my teammate who she cheated with on the phone, angry and asking him why he told me. He also showed me these messages. I blocked her number so I wasn't tempted to answer her calls and washed my hands of the situation. Later on I tried to cry but I couldn't. I was numb and on the inside I was dead. It was the most humiliating moment of my life. Not only did she cheat but she talked bad about me and my family with my teammate. Someone who I have a lot of mutual friends with. We both played defense so I had meetings/practice with him every day. We also had classes together as we had the same major. I soon realized it didn't make sense to be mad at my teammate. He said he wanted to tell me at the beach but couldn't bring himself to do it. Turns out she was with him the night my number was blocked. My birthday was a few weeks later and I got a new phone as a present, which means my ex's number was unlocked as your block list does not transfer over. My ex reached out to wish me a happy birthday and I ignored it and still have never spoke to her again to this day. I don't know if she tried to contact me after I found out as her number was blocked for a few weeks, but she sent my teammate a series of angry texts telling me and then at one point tried to reconcile with him. Probably just because she realized I was gone for good. But he didn't want anything to do with her other than sex and eventually cut her off. Fast forward to today. I have graduated from college and have been with my now girlfriend going on 5 years and we are peacefully in love. We are planning to move in together in the spring and marriage is a serious possibility. I am working in the mortgage industry and plan on going back to school for my MBA and she's in medical school. I have no idea what my ex is up to these days nor do I care, but she recently followed me on social media and from the looks of it she hasn't made much progress. I suspect she even tried to reach out to me but when I went to check the DM it was deleted. It wouldn't have mattered as I have no desire to ever speak with her or any of her family again. I've made a good amount of progress since this whole ordeal. I'm in the best shape of my life, as fitness was something I took seriously after this situation. I got my degree, hopefully getting another, and financially I've made a lot of progress as well. She still religiously watches all of my social media activity. I say all this to say to anyone going through a similar situation, it does get better. Focusing on yourself after a breakup is hands down the best advice anyone can give. Find a hobby, work out, start a business, just do something to occupy time. You'll soon realize how much happier you are. It won't be easy at first, but it's honestly the best thing you can do. I'm glad you came out the other side, blocked her and moved on. The best revenge is that you have found someone who is much better and you are living a happy life without that toxic ex. Never let her back unless you are petty like me and feel like asking who is this? Lol. Well, if she is still following you on social media, then just post something in the line of "I'm doing great. I have a good job, am going to study some more, and have the best girlfriend ever. Take care. Mr. Big Ball." A wall of text pretending you're over her, even gloating. I wonder what's up with that? My sister, 34F, is mad at me, 40M, for keeping her ex employed and promoting him after he strayed. How can I show her this is purely a business decision and nothing to do with my support for her? Posted in another sub. Would like some more advice here rather than judgment. I'm in a weird situation here. My sister Sarah had been with Josh for 3 years. I own a business. Without getting too specific, I have 8 employees right now, so fairly small. I hired Josh despite him having less experience than typical for a new hire, originally as a favor to Sarah, but he was a natural fit. From day one he's been a huge contributor. All was fine and dandy until about 3 months ago it came out that Josh had been sleeping with Sarah's best friend Ashley. Ashley is now pregnant. Obviously Sarah left him and is now living with our parents in the house I pay for. He is now engaged to Ashley and living with her. I don't see this lasting. While this was happening I tried to remain professional with Joshua. While I think he's a scummy guy, technically personal stuff shouldn't be used against him at work. One of my longest employees unfortunately has had some major health complications come up and he unofficially retired, keeping him on the books for insurance, but he won't be working for a while. Hate to say it, but Josh really stepped up in his absence. He's been incredibly essential in keeping us running and successful, more now than ever before. Now that it's become clear that my other employee won't be coming back anytime soon, I needed to replace him. Josh is the natural candidate, and all my other employees told me to promote him, so I gave it to him with about a 50% raise, what the person before him was making, and he's been flourishing in it. Awkward part about that is Sarah just found out he was promoted from a mutual friend and is livid with me. She gave me an earful, as did my parents, and now I'm feeling pretty conflicted. I feel like personal life and professional life should be treated separately, but my family is saying this is different. Edits. They were never married or engaged, just living together. No kids together. I am not firing anyone. He hasn't broken any work rules, and that would screw over everyone else who works for me. We do profit sharing, and that would require turning down jobs due to not having bandwidth to take them on. It would also require more hours from anyone. I'm not going to do that, as that wouldn't help anybody. People keep saying just hire someone else, but we have a national worker shortage and this is a specialized position. Even if the perfect candidate came in, it would take at least 6 months to get them to speed. And that's with a candidate with ample experience. We have had open jobs for our entry-level roles that we train for months that aren't getting filled. Pay starts at 50k. We just haven't had qualified workers applying who are willing to do the work. It is not so simple. Timeline goes like: 2 years ago, hires Josh. Day 1, old employee takes short leave. Josh fills in temporarily at first. Couple weeks later, this all comes out. Josh is still filling in and doing great work. 3 weeks later, old employee shares he will not be coming back due to health reasons. All my other employees tell me how great Josh is doing and how much they like working for him. Business is booming, and they tell me how much they think Josh deserves the promotion officially. 2 weeks later, I have to make a decision, so I give him the promotion purely for performance reasons. Couple weeks after that, Sarah finds out, and that was in the last week. TLDR, sister's ex works for me and cheated but is a great employee. I'm trying to keep these things separate, but that's proving difficult. I think that you can have empathy for your sister and also do the right thing for your business. You have to understand that from her perspective, he has faced no consequences for cheating on her. In fact, his life has only gotten better. He's engaged with a baby on the way, living in the home that used to be hers with the other woman, and he's been promoted and makes more money. So now she feels betrayed by the man she dated, her best friend, and her brother. She's probably wondering when she's going to get a win. My advice to you? Offer to help her with something that isn't firing him. Is she in therapy? Because she's going to need it big time with all the trauma she's suffered recently. Because that is what being cheated on like this does to a person. It creates trauma. So your sister is feeling really damaged, and you need to come at her like that? Let her yell at you if that's what she needs. She needs to figure out for herself what it means to thrive. Because living well is the best revenge, and right now it feels like he's winning. Help your sister figure out what it will mean to win this breakup. This is golden advice. No advice for op here, but I just wanna say, wow. I really love your analysis of what Op's sister is feeling, because I went through something similar. I broke up with an ex after he cheated on me multiple times. I gave up a lot for him, so I had to start my life all over again post-breakup, and I went through a deep depression because I felt like I had taken so many steps backwards from where I used to be. Meanwhile, he was thriving. He moved in with a relative rent-free to a state that he's always wanted to live in, where it's sunny and beautiful, was going on all sorts of trips because his relative has the money to treat him, gifted a car, which made me even more bitter because he would always use my car, leaving me to take public transportation, and speed, which would ruin my brakes and then required a brake repair every few months, and getting speeding tickets that I would have to pay for, and gifted brand new clothes and items, despite the fact that he would give me a hard time whenever I bought myself something because he was cheap, and yet, he would use my stuff all the time rather than buy his own. Despite what he put me through, it seemed like he was getting rewarded for it rather than punished. Things are always just handed to him, and he never has to suffer consequences. I was left bitter and traumatized from the manipulation and gaslighting, so I tried seeking advice here on Reddit, and somebody called me miserable, that it was my fault for putting up with what he did to me, and that he deserves to live his best life. It's been years since then, and I'm doing better by living my own life and working hard, but reading your comment makes me feel good and relieved, seeing what I felt be finally put into words and didn't make me feel worse. 2 hearts. Thank you. This is the most helpful comment I've received. Firing him is out of the question, but I will see if there's anything I can do to help her out. I agree that she needs a win right now. Update: my sister, 34F, is mad at me, 40M, for keeping her ex employed and promoting him after he strayed. How can I show her this is purely a business decision and nothing to do with my support for her? I got a ton of feedback from my original post, so I wanted to put an update here. It's not super juicy, but figured I'd let people know. Saturday night we had a family dinner where my parents and Sarah are living. We didn't talk about the subject of the last post during dinner, but Sarah was being noticeably short with me, to the point that my sons noticed. After dinner I asked her to speak in private, to which she obliged. I reiterated to her that my actions with Josh were purely about business and had nothing to do with her. She told me she knew that, and she was embarrassed at her reaction. It's just been a few really shitty months for her. Basically, she told me she hates her job, is now single and missing her former best friend. And now she's having some anxiety about never finding someone before she's too old to have kids. And meanwhile everything just keeps seeming to get better for her ex. I have to say that really was sad to hear from her. I told her I'm always here for her and asked her what ideally she'd like to do work-wise. Well, as it turns out, without getting too specific, what she would ideally like to do is something that one of my best friends has a business and needs someone to do that function. That friend owes me some favors for a jam I got them out of in the past, so I told her I'd see what I could do. Well, they connected Monday and really hit it off. They offered her a full-time position that she will now be starting in 2 weeks. She'll be making more money, with better benefits, doing something she's always wanted to do. Also on Sunday we actually went to the amusement park with my kids and her and had a bit of a family day. She said that was great therapy for her and what she needed was to get out of the house my parents are living in, as she was just feeling sorry for herself there. She's looking at apartments this week and is hoping to find one near me as she loves hanging out. I'm not talking free babysitting, with her nephews. Sorry this isn't the juicy update some people who were saying she's going to go absolutely no contact with me were expecting, but it was a happy update nonetheless. I'm really excited for her to start her new job, as I think she'll be much happier there. And she has a lot to offer, so I'm sure she'll find someone as soon as she's ready to start dating again. TLDR, talked it out with my sister, helped her get a new job, and we are all good again. I enjoy the rare happy updates, thanks. Good update. Your sister seems fairly reasonable. Her emotional distress and depression clearly did a number on her given your initial post, so it's good to see her bounce back. She'll be fine, and she has plenty of time to find someone better, so she really shouldn't rush things this soon after the breakup. Not sure, maybe how they use jobs/employment as a band-aid for deeply personal emotional wounds? How business-like all of Op's responses have been after his sister's life was wrecked by his employee. That's probably why I'm not the owner of a company, but it bums me out. I wish all the best to Op and his sister. They use jobs/employment as a band-aid for deeply personal emotional wounds. I can't fix everything. But she needed a win, and this happened to be somewhere I could help her get a win. It's a journey. Forget everyone trying to make you the bad guy. I think you made the right choice. Work is work and home is home. It would be unethical to fire someone for that anyway, especially considering his job performance is above average. Glad everything worked out. Thanks. Yeah, it was obviously a conflicting situation, but at the end of the day I had to treat business like business to do right by my other employees. I honestly wouldn't trust an employee that was willing to duck over my sibling. Like most people know not to piss off their boss, and this guy just didn't care. If this story is real, I doubt it. Op is in for a rude awakening when the ex ducks over him too. When I manage my business, I like to look at situations objectively. Firing Josh would have been purely revenge and would hurt him, myself, his future child, who has done nothing wrong, and the rest of my employees. It also wouldn't have helped anyone. Sarah and I talked about it and she conceded that it wouldn't have actually helped anyone or anything either. We're all good now. I'd rather focus my energy towards helping people and accomplishing goals than hurting people out of retribution, and Sarah agrees. You are a true capitalist, dude. You kept the lying, cheating douchebag and gave him a promotion, and now you get a free babysitter. Maybe try running for the Senate if you live in USA. I specifically said not free babysitting. My wife is a Zam and we have a few teens in the neighborhood we pay to babysit when needed. She loves her nephews and enjoys spending time with them. But I'm talking about all of us hanging out, not me leaving and her watching my kids for me. It's always good to hear when a soap opera scenario is resolved without soap opera drama. Great job taking care of your sister. Yeah, I got so many hate-filled comments and DMs assuring me she'd forsake me forever and I'd never hear from a family member again. Luckily my family is not that dramatic. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.